This year's PAX was exhausting, but well worth it. I wasn't able to play all the games requested on my Twitter, but for those of you that didn't get to go, here's some of what you missed. Nintendo's booth was pretty low-key, but considering that Nintendo already got a head start on the next generation of consoles, I don't know that that's necessarily a bad thing. What was surprising was that both Sony and Microsoft were stationed right next to each other, but they were just as downplayed as Nintendo's was, and they have a console due out this year. It felt like they were both worn out from E3, and they were each catching their second wind in their respective corners, but still maintaining that threatening eye contact. This was their chance to appeal directly to the people that are going to be buying their product, but they didn't really seem to care. My first stop was the private theater for XCOM Enemy Within. They had a live demo set up, and can I just point out how much I enjoy being able to see the person playing the game, so that I know that what I'm looking at isn't just a video with some jackass molesting a controller? Anyway, they showed off some more of the mech suits and genetic soldiers' abilities. Mech soldiers are equipped with flamethrowers and the ability to destroy cover, while gen soldiers can be upgraded to leap buildings in a single bound to reach better cover. They also showed off a new gen ability to not only shield a soldier from alien psychic attacks, but repel them back at the enemy. New weapons include a needle grenade, which can be deployed without injuring your other squad mates that might be in range. And at an XCOM panel with Adam Sessler and the developers, they revealed a whole new alien called the Seeker, which is basically a rocket-powered facehugger that turns invisible. Its unique AI is designed to infiltrate your unit and strangle them to death with its tentacles, and it's next to impossible to shoot off. Once it is off, your soldier will need one turn to catch his breath before you can issue orders again. All this, new maps, even more alien types and abilities and weapon tiers, you'd think they'd just make it a sequel. XCOM Enemy Within comes out mid-November. You can buy the content separately online, or you can buy it along with last year's XCOM Enemy Unknown for a total of $40. After catching up with some friends, they recommend I try the Oculus Rift, which is the latest VI being developed. I was initially skeptical because I'd heard the line to try it with Hawken was ridiculous, but they pointed me to a much shorter line that had a basic tech demo. And since I was mainly interested in its basic applications, I jumped in line. It wasn't long until I had the headset and gear, and while it's difficult to just describe, it's most definitely not just the Virtual Boy again. Turning your head 90 degrees to see the game's world literally surrounding you is breathtaking, and creating a whole new level of immersion. While it was exciting, the obvious questions did arise. 1. What about people with glasses and motion sickness? 2. How heavy will the finished product be? 3. Will developers start to cater a game's design to take advantage of the Oculus Rift? And 4. How much will the damn thing cost? Because, yeah, I could see maybe investing in the basic headgear, but there's no way in hell I'm buying this. I am not spending my life savings just to look like this guy.
Ah! Come on, get him up. Let's go. Right away.
It's definitely going to take some getting used to, and the developers still have a long road ahead of them, but it's incredibly promising, and I'll be keeping my eye on it for sure. Whenever you want to come out, Watch Dogs, you can. I mean, it's only been like fucking forever. New Assassin's Creed. Still don't care.
And here, you can play games that you could just play at home.
What does look like fun is the new Plants vs. Zombies game. I didn't get a chance to play it, but the different class types and the Raving Rabbids-like aesthetic looks to be tons of fun. And here is the HD version of Final Fantasy X. That's enough about Final Fantasy X. Telltale Games teased their new game, The Wolf Among Us. Based on a comic, it's set in a world of fantasy characters from popular fables. You play the big bad wolf as he solves noir-style crimes with Telltale's infamous choice-driven, consequence-heavy gameplay. Telltale is very well aware of how much you like the Walking Dead game they made, and they intend on surpassing that. I would have loved to tell you how it played, but the line for it was 2 hours long, and I got shit to do. The new Rayman game was stupidly addictive. People often underestimate what it takes to make a good platformer, but I'll be damned if Ubisoft doesn't pull it off with ease. I played on both a PS4 and with a group of people on the Wii U, and both were fun. The PS4 definitely felt more natural, but it was also far more punishing. Playing with a group on the Wii U was easier because you had more people with you to help divvy up the game's difficulty. And it was fun too, but sometimes the Wii Pad player gets stuck playing the babysitter for the other players for a level, which wasn't as much fun. Speaking of which, what all did Nintendo have to offer this year? I played the wonderful 1-on-1, which is currently out now. It can be best described as a combat-heavy Pikmin game with superheroes. It's got a learning curve, but it's also incredibly satisfying. All the customization of what certain heroes can add to your group, I can already tell will be incredibly addicting. I also played the new Super Mario World, which now features a kitty cat suit to scale walls. It was everything you come to expect from the new Mario games. It was fun, natural, the right degree of challenge, definitely a good reason to own a Wii U, for the 3 of you that have one. Pokemon XY now features evolving mid-battle. You can ride Pokemon as well, and even if you have the 3D feature on, only certain parts of the game will utilize it. This way it won't drain your batteries quite as fast, and it will give your eyes a bit of a break from one 3D segment to the next. Another surprise was the reveal that Bulbasaur, Charmander, and Squirtle are the starters, each of them featuring a new evolved form. You'll still get the stupid frog thing and whatever the hell the others are supposed to be. I'm told that you'll get them at another point in time from a different professor. You'll also utilize a bracelet on your character's arm, imbued with a special stone that allows your Pokemon to evolve into a 4th form. When did this become Digimon all of a sudden? There was a new Sonic game, and wouldn't you know it, it didn't totally suck. It's been called Sonic Galaxy by a lot of people, and you can kind of see why. It's definitely taking after the Mario Galaxy formula, but if you're going to rip off a game, you might as well rip off of a good game, right? Last but not least, the new Phoenix Wright game, Dual Destinies, was on display with a booth set up like a courtroom. The new game looks and feels excellent, but I do take issue with this supposed mood tracker, or whatever the hell it is. Basically, during a character's given testimony, certain keywords will light up different colors. Different colors represent different moods. Essentially, the game is literally telling you how to read the character's dialogue, and that's not as much fun. It kind of kills the pace of the courtroom interrogations to have your partner turn to you and say, "I think such and such was mad about that part." When really, in the previous games, the witness's facial expressions kind of got that across already. Still, I'm not sure how much of the game will require this, so we'll have to wait and see. I love the Phoenix Wright series, and I'm sure I'll love this one too. Sony had a private theater for Infamous Second Son, which could be a lot of fun. Not much else to say about that. Yep. Sony also had a long line for Beyond Two Souls. I stood here and I watched this guy playing, and I kept waiting for the CG cutscene to end so that the guy could play and I could get an idea of what the gameplay actually looks like. I waited for about 20 minutes. Somehow I'm not surprised. Contrast was literally the only game I saw at PAX that featured a female protagonist, and luckily it didn't suck. While the details of the story were kept behind the curtains on the show floor, the game is a puzzle platformer which features shifting between the real world and the shadows as its primary use of problem solving, harkening back to the days of the Soul Reaver games. It was also gorgeous. Contrast is not one to be underestimated. I really liked it a lot. One of my highlights was getting to try out Batman Arkham Origins. As appropriate to a time when Batman was less talk, more punch, a lot more focus has been put on the combat. There are new enemy types that can counter your counters, and there was yet another color flashing above their heads. I wasn't told how to deal with those guys though. I was a little upset that I was kicked off the game when the guys next to me had been there before me and weren't getting kicked off. Bunch of racists. But I went and got in line for Dying Light. I had my hang-ups about this one. I was afraid that by marrying two mediocre games, we'd end up with a hodgepodge of mediocrity that had no identity. And while I can't speak for the finished product, obviously, or the story, because it's not finished, the demo felt much more natural than I anticipated. Combat flowed well, the parkour connected alright. I still wish it wasn't fucking first person, but whatever. The voice acting was definitely right out of Dead Island, though. Overall, I was impressed. While Sony had a lot of different games set up, but with few high profilers on display, Microsoft only had a few games set up, but the lines were much busier. For example, I gave up on Titanfall after about the 4th time the line capped, but I was able to get an interview with one of the characters. I was also able to get a preview of Dead Rising 3, and rest assured, they are not going grim and gritty on us. That was one of the biggest concerns. The game may look less cartoony, but it's every bit as silly and humorous as its predecessors. I also got to try out the new Street Fighter game, and it felt pretty good. There's a pretty heavy emphasis on combos, though, and that might be something people need to get used to. But all in all, I'd say... What's that? It's not a Street Fighter game. Killer Instinct? Oh. Okay, yes, it feels a lot like Street Fighter, but just like with the Sonic game I played, that's not necessarily a bad thing. I played against a guy who had played the original game a lot, and he said he didn't really find any problem in picking up this version, so fans need not worry. You can download the game for free with Jago unlocked and then buy the other characters separately. You can pay $20 and get the full game with all 8 characters. You can pay $40, get the full game with the 8 characters, a port of the original Killer Instinct game, and whatever happened to just I pay money, you give me game? So if Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo were all kind of lacking, who won at PAX? No question, the indie booth. Good thing they put it in the back of the fucking exhibit hall. Never-Ending Nightmares is a return to a simpler time of horror when everything wasn't fucking Dead Space. Being heavily inspired by the developer's struggle with depression and various mental illnesses, it has a very vulnerable feel to it, excellent use of sound, unique visuals, and they've teased multiple endings depending on how you play. There's a Kickstarter for it, I've definitely donated, and I think you should too. Mugenics looks adorable, earning the nickname the Crazy Cat Lady Simulator. You breed different cats with different abilities to either take over the world or just to have tons of cats. They've teased this many cats in the game so far. I don't know what more you need, it's Pokemon with kitties. Aztez looked like a lot of fun. I wanted to play it, but the guy running the booth was too busy playing it, so I didn't get to. I'm sure he enjoyed it though. It's worth noting that this game is supported by the Oculus Rift that I mentioned earlier, which is really interesting considering it's a VI software and this is a 2D side-scrolling beat-em-up. Incognita is from the developers to Don't Starve and the best game of 2012 that you never played, Mark of the Ninja. Seriously, do yourself a favor and go play that. It looks to be very XCOM in nature. It's even featuring the same hub and it has an Overwatch option. But this tends to lean much more on stealth than XCOM does, going so far as to give you hacking abilities to take advantage of the cameras around you. To give you kind of an idea, do you remember that scene in Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol when Tom Cruise and Simon Pegg are sneaking down the hallway? Yeah, something like that. Look who's finally getting their own video game. That's right, it's about time if you ask me. The angry video game nerd is getting his own game in the style of a Mega Man side-scrolling action adventure, which means it's probably going to be hard as hell. Bugs Bunny better be one of the boss battles. The indie that everyone was talking about, though, was Crypt of the Necrodancer, what can best be described as a dancing dungeon crawler. Everything from movement, attacks, casting spells, and buying items must be done in sync to the music being played. Doing so will increase attack power, combo multipliers, etc. The finished version will allow you to upload your own music to the game, and they assured me that playing with the DDR pad was entirely optional. So yeah, obviously I missed a lot at PAX. What were some of the things you played that I didn't mention? What were your favorites? Or did you not get to go at all? What were you looking forward to? I hope I was able to let a little insight on some of what PAX has to offer. I'm already looking forward to good next year too. Let me know what games you're looking forward to in the comments. Or something. Or don't. I don't care.
Emily is awesome! There you go.
What the hell are you doing?